Welcome to our podcast From the Ground Up, where we interview startup founders exploring their journeys, their success, challenges, and lessons learned. We hope you'll be inspired in discovering what it takes to build a thriving startup. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, and here with us today, we have Pavel Ershov, co-founder and CEO of Directual.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here, Pavel. As we get into this, let me give you a little background of who Pavel is. He leads Directual. It's a no-code platform that helps you kickstart your app's MVP and take it to the next level, handling complex features and heavy traffic. Before hitting the right groove with the market, Directual went through two pivots, and the team managed to secure over $3.5 million in funding along the way. Pavel's your classic serial entrepreneur. Prior to co-founding Directual, he dabbled in lifestyle mobile app and e-commerce site, and even dived into the streaming music service scene. A lot going on the technology side, Pavel. I like your background.
Thank you.
Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Moscow. It's almost night here.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Okay, very cool. Are you originally from Moscow?
No, I'm originally from Chelyabinsk. I grew up in Chelyabinsk, that is a city in the very heart of Russia, on the Ural Mountains. But 18 years ago, I moved to Moscow. So I moved to study at university.
Very cool. Well, you speak great English, so I'm assuming you've studied English in the process, or maybe it was just by doing business internationally. Before we dive in, a lot of our guests come from different parts of the world, and I'm always interested to know, what was your upbringing like that kind of led you down the path of being an entrepreneur, and how did you get into technology?
I believe that it all started at university. So I studied at Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. So that is one of the top technical universities in Russia and in the world. That is a kind of analog of Stanford in Russia. And I dived into the technology there. Plus, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who graduated from Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. So that was a kind of entrepreneurial spirit there. And having the strong background in physics and mathematics, I was able to start my career in IT.
Very cool. Makes a lot of sense. You started in school and in technology, mathematics. That all makes a lot of sense to me. Talk to me about your startup experience. So you've got various experience as a serial entrepreneur. Prior to starting Directual, walk me through a little bit more of the type of products or companies that you were building that kind of led you to eventually get to Directual.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I could say that I'm a typical serial entrepreneur. So I have always been an entrepreneur, even working for a bank. My first venture was a kind of a streaming musical service like Spotify. I launched it in 2000 with my technical co-founder, my mate from the university, and we had really big plans. First, we decided to create a kind of operational system in the browser. Then we developed it, at least an MVP, and discovered that we needed to focus on something, and we decided to focus on some fun, and we called the project Fun Space, and we focused it on the single app in that operational system in the browser, musical player. And we managed to agree with the content providers and launched a competitor of Spotify in 2008. But it was too early for that market. The market was not ready for the streaming service, for the subscription model. So that was a kind of a first try. But that was a lovely experience, and we started another venture in 20, and with another my mate, we decided to delve into e-commerce. And we created an e-commerce site. We organized the logistics. We were selling apparel, so different clothes, mostly from Asia, from South Korea, from China, mostly from South Korea to the Russian market. And that was more successful than the first one. And we even managed to launch an offline stores, a couple of them. That was a curious experience, but we failed because I had a little entrepreneurial experience, and managing all the logistics, finance was tough. We ran out of money, but we didn't survive. We didn't surrender, and we decided to go into the mobile applications. That was a time when the first, the second generations of iPhones appeared, and that was kind of a boom of mobile app. And we were impressed by the application named Shopkick in the US, and
Yeah.
decided to create the similar one for the Russian market. The key thing that attracted us, that appealed us, was the technical challenge. There was no Bluetooth low energy beacons yet, and we needed to apply some technology for indoor location. The idea of the app was the following: if a client comes into the store or a cafe, he or she gets some points, and then you could get some rewards for that points. And the technical challenge was to check in the client automatically without pushing the button. There were a few options, radio waves or the light. And finally, we decided to base our technology on sound, ultrasonic sound. So we crafted, really crafted, some ultrasonic beacons that provided some sound. The mobile phone heard it, but the person did not, because we are not hearing ultrasonic sound usually.
Right.
So that, and we succeeded with developing, with crafting those beacons and the application. We managed to get funding, rather significant. We raised $500,000 in US dollars and launched. So we hired a lot of developers, but the key thing was that the business model didn't work. So we could not manage to find the right product market fit. We could not make our customers, retailers, merchants pay for that traffic. Nevertheless, that was another lovely experience, and the investor was one of the most famous Russian entrepreneurs, Oleg Tinkov. And testing that out and figuring out that the business model didn't work, we suggested, we offered to the investor to pivot into something new. That new was card-linked offers. So Oleg Tinkov was the owner of a bank, the huge bank, Russian one, and we decided to pivot. We offered Oleg to pivot that mobile app into the card-linked offering. It means that the algorithm analyzes the transaction history of a client, and based on that analysis, you could offer some cashback. But that cashback was funded by the merchant, because you could offer the merchant the clients of his competitor, for example. And that was my first experience working for a bank, for somebody, for a bank,
Yeah.
not for myself. So Oleg asked me to join his team, the bank, and that was the place where I ran a kind of internal startup inside the huge company. That was the year 2011, 2012. So the project was successful. That was a huge success from the financial point of view. And we launched that card-linked offering system 2 or 3 years earlier than all the competitors on the market. And there, working for Tinkoff, I met my co-founder Nikita. So he was an IT architect in Tinkoff. And so when the project was launched and succeeded, we decided to quit the bank and start our own venture. That was the point where we are talking about Directual, my current company.
Uh,
That was the year 2014.
wow. I like that transition. So going from startup to startup that failed, then building a startup really within a big company
Yep.
that's got the funding and you found the right product market fit, and then understanding the process and taking that experience to then build your next startup, which is the one we're going to about to talk about now. Um, I think the key word that I heard you talk about and all that was not surrender. I think
Yep,
so
sure.
many leaders of startups, it's really the difference between sometimes you making it and not making it, of deciding, do you want to keep fighting the battle? Do you believe that you have the right product? And if you don't, do you have the desire to continue to pivot, to change, to make the right strategic direction to make it successful? So there's a lot of learning that you can get from not succeeding as long as you apply it to your next venture. So excited to hear about Directual. Walk us through what it is and what inspired you to create it.
So the inspiration was, I would say, internal. I'm basically I'm not a coder. I could code, so I have engineering background, but regular I don't code. I'm a designer. I'm a manager. I'm product designer, and working with in for Tinkoff with Nikita, my co-founder, there was a kind of a pain for me when I had a product idea. I asked engineers led by Nikita to develop it. It used to take, say, a week in the best case or a month. And the idea was the following. So if I had a kind of process designer that worked, so I craved to design business logic, push play button, and it would work. That would that would the basic idea. And later it turned out to be called no coding. In
Mm,
2014, there was no such a term, no coding. That was the basic idea. Uh, then we created a kind of MP, started testing it out, and occasionally we got the first client, the large telecommunication company, and we decided that we should work with enterprise companies. And that was kind of the first part of our company development before the pivot. On the one hand, unsuccessful because we could not develop the company under that enterprise focused business model. On the other hand, successful because that was the background, the basic for our future growth.
that's great. So there's a lot that goes into developing a product when you're trying to solve a problem. So what's the problem that you're solving with Directual today? Is it creating the infrastructure and the no code based platform that you could take an idea and then plug it into your platform and scale that product or that whatever that solution you're creating? I'm assuming it's a web based application, maybe it's mobile, but what is it that, as a, say, an interested buyer of your product, they're going to get from you?
So the basic idea of almost all the no-code products is simple. Developers, coders are expensive, and the traditional coding is a time-consuming process. Moreover, for running an app, you need not only coding but maintaining the infrastructure. And the idea is that you push one button and you have all the infrastructure, including database, API layer, security, etc. Then you're designing the logic, user interface, all the integrations visually, and that is it. So you saved a lot of time and you get the flexibility so you could test it out quickly. That is the basic idea, and that is the reason why no code is successful. But there are really a lot of no code tools on the market. And we identified the niche. Most of the no code products have a similar problem. They are okay, they're working for building MVP, for testing some hypothesis. But if you need to scale, if you need to grow from the complexity points of view, if you need some new advanced features, no code fails. But not all the platforms. Our platform doesn't fail. So you could grow easily, you could scale, you could have millions of records in your database, you could connect different external systems, and you could develop your own components, connect traditionally coding parts. So there is no limits on our platform. So you could develop MVP and go beyond.
So if you are, say, an idea person or a product person, you have an idea, you want to create a startup, you are somewhat technical. I'm assuming you have to be technical for your platform, even though it's no code.
Yep, you are right. But we call our clients, our ideal client is technical savvy product owner. So the person is not a developer, but you need to know the basics of computer science. You need to know what is the database, what is API, and how to products could be connected via API. And but know that there are a lot of absolute no techies in our community, but they needed to spend more time for learning. So if you are not technical at all, probably you'll need, say, a month to plunge into the topic, to figure out all the details and to compose something. If you have some coding background, or at least you're tech savvy, you worked with the developers, a week would be absolutely enough to get into all the details.
That's great. So if you create an MVP, oftentimes we hear companies that they create an MVP to get a product idea into the market. They might even raise capital and at some level use that platform that they've created for some time on their initial customer base. But as they scale, they have to go back and rebuild the whole thing all over again, really, to make it more successful to scale, or more flexible to scale. So what you're saying is you could start with your platform, create the MVP, and not have to rebuild anything. Once you begin to get traction, you can just continue to scale on your platform. Is that correct?
Yep, you're right. Technically, you don't need to rebuild because Directual is capable. So it's okay for the load, it's okay with the security. But if we say, if we are talking about the, I don't know, large companies, really few of them build their core technologies on any no code or other technology because that is their core, that is their IP. And no code platforms are really best choice for, say, additional modules, additional services, not the core. So if you're launching an MVP, building a startup, and you don't have, I don't know, millions of dollars of revenue, you could build 100% of your company on no code. But if you're becoming really large company, usually you need to have your own IP. And large companies are using no-code platforms for automating side processes, so some department level.
When you look at the no code market, it's been growing significantly for a long time. Um, you can find no code tools on Product Hunt and various websites. How do you survive on such a highly competitive market? And I guess, how do you ensure you've got the right product market fit?
If we are talking about B2C companies, so there are platforms that are B2B, such as Siemens, Mendix, Appian, etc. They have strong sales people. They're working with enterprise companies. So I'm not aware of that market, but I could say about B2C markets, so, such as Bubble, Airtable, or Directual. There are three key things that should be for that should be defined, that should be established. First, the thing is that you cannot build new no-code platform in a year or in a two, even in 3 years. You need to invest thousands of human hours, coder hours into the product to get the platform which is suitable for building more or less complex app. So that is a kind of a mode. Second, you need to have the community. So the community is the basic thing for any mass market no code platform. If you don't have community, you could hardly design your onboard process. Moreover, community could build new features, new modules of the platform. We launched features for building plugins last year, and our community members have built more than 100 new models for our platform, including new web components, new scenario steps, and the whole templates. So the community is the driver. Fortunately, today we have a significant community. There are more than 2,000 active members in English-speaking community, and about the same number in Russian-speaking community. So we are working worldwide. Actually, we have customers from more than 30 countries.
Wow.
And I believe that we need to launch Spanish-speaking community soon, because there are a lot of people from Latin America. So the community is the key, and or you could not build that community in a week. You need to invest in that community continuously, um, a year, 2 years, 3 years to build this strong foundation. And the third cornerstone of the product market fit of mass market no code platform is content. You need to have comprehensive educational materials. You need to have a lot of examples. You need to have a lot of templates. Moreover, the curious finding refers to the marketing. We tested out almost all the marketing channels, including Google, Twitter, paid ads, and I would say that none of them works, really, because they're expensive and could not get you could not get enough users, visitors from those channels at a reasonable price. Probably that happens because such companies as Bubble raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and they just invested so much money into the brand awareness, so you could hardly compete with them. And
Yeah.
the only marketing channel that works for us and for our competitors, I believe, is search engine optimization. That channel works really well. And the basic thing that you should do, that you should have for engine optimization is content. You need to have a lot of posts on blog. You need to have a lot of examples. You need to have the community that creates the content.
And do podcasts, right? I mean, that helps.
Sure thing.
Do you look at the no code industry? How is AI fitting in there? And do you see it, supporting it, replacing developers, including no code developers? Like,
That is a hot topic. You're absolutely right. There were a lot of opinions that AI is going to change everything because AI would code for you, AI would do anything for you. But uh, it turned out that AI, say ChatGPT or their peers, could hardly develop more or less significant and complex product. They're absolutely great in developing and coding some small parts of the product. Moreover, I use ChatGPT regularly for coding some small parts of the platform on JavaScript or on Scala. And so ChatGPT is not replacing coders, they're helping them. They're helping to work more rapidly. And speaking about no code, AI would be a great thing, a great combination here as well. That AI would be an assistant for the person who is working with no code. A couple of months ago, we introduced a plugin for ChatGPT, Directual plugin. You could type to ChatGPT what you need to build from the database to scenarios and interfaces, and ChatGPT plugin connects to your Directual account and develops it for you. So you could accelerate your no coding development using AI. Plus, AI would be a kind of a tutor, support, assistant. AI could find the needed part in the documentation. So AI empowers no code, not does not replace it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I love that. A true value add. You've gone through some pivots and you have experience in what it's like to build companies. The team is critical when you're going through a pivot because some will decide they buy into the new direction of a company or a product. Some might decide they don't believe in the leadership and might leave and might move on. But team strength is very important. What are some insights you can share with other startup founders that are having to make pivots, have made pivots that you believe helped you successfully make pivots yourself?
Great question. So, a couple of words about our pivots. So, we started the company as an agency. So, our first model was an agency. We created our own technology and we built the products, some apps on our platform for our enterprise clients. And that time we had a team of 50 people. 30 of them were the people who work on the platform and created the apps for our clients, and 20 of them were the engineers. That time we raised more than 2 million in funding, and our fail was that we were uh, too optimistic for the sales process. Just an example, we spent more than a year for the project for Vodafone in Luxembourg. So we offered supply chain management for them. So we traveled 6 times to Luxembourg. So we almost created the whole app, but at the end, the process turned out to be simple. Vodafone used such small companies as we were for making SAP provide them with a discount.
Oh, wow.
So that was just one of the sides of that enterprise sales process. Nevertheless, there were the enterprises that really wanted to work with us, but the duration of the process, it could took almost 2 years.
Hmm.
And that is hard. That is agency business. It's hard. And we ran out of money. The reason of pivoting was simple, and that was a kind of a crisis. That was the very end of 2019, early 2020, and that was the time when we had to decrease our team, so to keep only the engineers. Moreover, we needed to motivate the engineers to pivot, to work even harder. And that was the time when my co-founder Nikita and I were pondering over the very basics. And before that moment, we had uh, we considered the key question to be what we were doing. But that critical moment, turned our mind into another question: why we were doing what we were doing. And that was the moment when we identified the mission of the company. We decided, we realized that our platform was a simple tool for people. Imagine 100 people who have ideas of the products. How many of them could really develop a product based on that her or his idea? 3 people out of 100? That's not too much. And we decided that our idea would be letting people create. So we let the person who has an idea to bring his idea into life. Doesn't matter if he or she is a developer, designer, if he or she has money for hiring developers. You have the no code platform, you have the idea, and you could turn that idea into that idea into life. And that was our mission. So we identified the mission, we discussed it with the guys from the team. Some of them quit, that is absolutely okay, but some of them supported us, and that was the again a vertebra of our company. So we uh, finally got the vertebra of the business, of the team. So we were optimistic about the future because we realized why we were doing something. And then we needed approximately a year to roll out first cloud version of the platform. We suppose that that would be a pure backend platform. And the second pivot, smaller one, was to turn into the full stack platform.
Yeah.
And finally, the first proof that we were right was that we managed to get the product of the month on Product Hunt easily. So we did not invest into any marketing or anything. We just rolled out the product, our cloud platform, into the Product Hunt in 2020 and got the product of the month. And that was a kind of a positive feedback from the market, from the world, that we were doing right.
Yeah. That's great. Congratulations. That's a really cool story. And it's you don't always have the right destination as you're building. You hope you do, and you kind of build, and you have to make changes and pivots and validation in the markets. The best case scenario that you can get once you're building a product. And the second one, maybe even the first, is getting paying customers that actually are going to pay you for what you created. So, for the listeners out there, give us an idea. What's the structure? What's the business model? What's the price to pay to use a product like yours?
So usually there is a complex pricing model because you could not provide the client with a flat price because the app produces some load, and that load leads to our costs on cloud infrastructure. And most of no-code platforms has more or less similar pricing. You have some basic fee. So if you have the small app, an MVP or something, you could get the startup plan, pay 29 monthly, and enjoy all the features. But if the load of an app hits the limit, so there could be the number of requests, the number of processing operations, the amount of data. There is a list of those numbers. You are paying as you go. That is an extra limit consumption, and there is a certain price for extra resources. And as high your plan is, startup 29 monthly, pro plan 99 monthly, or business pricing plan 300 monthly, there would be the cheaper on-demand resources. Plus, so that is a basic licensing. Plus, we have the marketplace. Users could develop new features, new modules, new templates, sell those templates and modules on marketplace and get the reward. And we have the marketplace fee around 20%.
That's great. Really cool. I like that. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, and you have to have a sustainable business model where as the costs go up for the usage of CPUs or whatever the API calls or however it adds up on the infrastructure side, it's got to be covered. That sounds pretty normal, but I think getting into the platform sounds reasonable, and as they scale, if they're successful, it's just a line item on a monthly invoice you pay and scale it, and hopefully you have a lot of success in the process. So that sounds great. Um, let's talk just briefly here about 2024. As you look at this new year that's starting, what's on the horizon for Directual, and what is it that you are, on the roadmap?
Our roadmap is community driven. So we have the public roadmap, and each and every person from our community could request a feature, report a bug, and vote for any feature from the roadmap. So thanks to that, we are aware of what the community needs. Moreover, that roadmap is built on our platform, so anyone could build similar roadmap in no time. So that is the way we got to know which features we need. Next, we have a strategical view on implementing AI into our platform. So as I have just said, the AI and no code is a great combination. So we are going to integrate AI into the platform itself. So now you are chatting with ChatGPT on that app, and that app is connected to the platform. So this year we'll introduce the fully functional AI assistant into the platform. So you could onboard easily, quickly, and build more and more complex apps. Just type into the AI assistant what you need. Plus, our community and we are going to introduce more and more templates, features, and we are going to become the platform, the only platform that you need to build a startup, to launch your side hustle. So, including infrastructure, including all the features, including the integration with, say, payments, with regular payments such as Puddle, Stripe, or with uh, crypto payments. So one of the topics that we invested in was Web3 field. Last year, we announced that Directual became the first no-code platform fully functional for Web3 apps. That means that we just introduced a few integrations with the blockchains, with wallets, so you could introduce the authorization via the crypto wallet for your end app. And I could not say that it was the great success. Web3 was a hype, but few people from Web3 community really could do something. Most of them are just chatterboxes. Nevertheless, Web3 topic still is a great source for the traffic for us. If you type Web3 no code on Google, you'll see that the first line would be Directual.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've had
still
a
we
couple.
have those integrations. You could connect crypto payments if you need to your app.
That's really cool. Yeah, we've had some recent guests on that are in the Web3 space, and it's a real community. I mean, it seems like when you're in that Web3 space. I mean, you're traveling around the world to go to certain events and different countries and talk about innovation that's happening, whether it's blockchain or cryptocurrencies or whatnot. There's seems to be a lot there that's of interest. But yeah, the fact that you say chatterboxes is interesting because we've heard that too, where there's a lot of talking, but actually doing is something different. So anyway, that's great. Well, as we wrap up here, Pavel, if companies wanted to find you or find Directual, where would they go?
They would go to directual.com, and there is a link to our community. You could type into Discord, Facebook group, or just send a message to team@directual.com, and I would answer with pleasure. So don't hesitate to connect us.
Great. Well, Pavel, thanks so much for joining. I really thank you for having the courage to come on and share your story. And hopefully you'll get some visibility out there in your own community about what you're doing coming from the CEO, and also listeners that might be interested. Maybe they'll use your product in the future as well. So I want to thank you and also thank the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that they've spent their time with us today to hear this message. And my name is Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but look forward to catching up with everyone on the next episode. Until then, take care.
Thank you. That was a pleasure, Jake.
Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs that have joined to make this podcast possible, and for all the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that you chose to spend your time with us today. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to connect with you all soon on the next episode. Take care. This show is sponsored by Match Relevant, a company that helps venture-backed startups find the best people in the market, and they do it in 3 simple steps. First, they sit down with founders to understand their story. Second, they tell their story into multiple candidate channels. And third, they schedule interviews within 48 hours. Find us at matchrelevant.com to learn more about how we do it.